Okay, and welcome back. Let's make some melee weapons. So first of all, I'm going to duplicate this box like 2 times or something. And let's add some melee weapons that's going to be actually items. So let's go here into our FPS inventory folder where we have everything for this tutorial series. And let's make a new item. So we had already an item, which is the BP weapon template, and then we have children of this weapon template. So I don't think that weapon template is fitting the melee weapons. Let's make a new one. Make a blueprint that is an actor. Let's call it BP melee weapon underscore template. Or even without underscore, it's fine. Melee weapon template. Okay, so we got this melee weapon template, and let's drag it back here. And let's say that we need a mesh, but is it a skeletal or is it static? Let's see here. It can be both, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go into FPP millennium set, which is the Cobalt millennium set. Weapon placeholders, and those are all static meshes. Okay, great. So let's make this template and add a static mesh component. Let's just make it the default scene root. Let's make it longsword. Beautiful green longsword. That works for me. And compile and save. Awesome. So now let's make it an item. So AGR item. So it is now an item. That's great. It is definitely not stackable. This doesn't really matter. Item name is item, or let's make it melee weapon change me. Simulate when dropped, definitely. Item tag slots. Okay, so we made setup of our weapons that it allows for primary or secondary weapons. So let's make this sword a secondary weapon, because why not? Okay, so let's go on to event graph. We don't need any of those, and we need some of the functions from here. So we'll need on pickup for sure, and we can, by the way, copy some of the work from our previous tutorials. We can open BP weapon template, and we can go into event graph, and let's see here. Okay, so on pickup we're taking inventory. Okay, so it's just this. On item dropped, we're just printing string. On equip, we're doing an overlay pose. Okay, so we're going to need this. On unequip, okay, interface pickup, even try pickup item, and then it's just this. Okay, so we go back here. We don't really need this. What we do need is to add an interface. So let's add interface pickup. There should be, oh come on. How did I call this interface? Character item interface and weapon interface. So it's weapon interface, right? Try pickup item, do the, oh yes, it's this one. So let's go back here. Okay, weapon interface, we got it. So now in this interface we get try pickup item, implement this function. We already have inventory. We just drag this component and we say pick up item into this inventory. That's great. And this is the same here, I guess. If this is valid, then pick up item. Yeah, a valid check would be nice, to be honest, because this might not be valid. So let's make sure that we actually have inventory. So if we do, then we just pick up item. Okay. Wow, my cats are acting really crazy today. So we are now picking it up. So let's see, how do we equip this item? Try pick up item. So on pickup, we do nothing. On equip, we set up overlay pose. Okay. So we need to do here and say on equip. So when this item is being equipped by some actor, we want to get animation master and want to or you know what, let's do it first and super easy way, like really easy. So when you pick up an item, you want something to happen. So on pickup, you want to just get this inventory owner and say attach actor to component, cast him to character. So on pickup, we're checking if we are being picked up by a character. If we are, then we have a mesh reference and we want to attach to this mesh and the target is self, so we don't have to connect this to anything else. Socket name will be, well, yeah, now we need a socket name. Let's just make it a variable. Socket name, it has to be instance editable. And the default will be, do we have already sockets? I guess we do. If we go here, I think we copied some of the sockets. Yeah, we do have one-handed and all of those. So two-hand sword socket, this will be the default one, and we're going to have this two-handed weapon as default. Just paste it here. So this is the socket we're attaching. We're snapping to this socket, we're keeping the world scale, and that should attach it to our hand. And we'll definitely need to change the pose of our animation. So let's go here, just a second, because this is really annoying. I need to turn off everything that makes noises. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, now on pickup attached to actor. So we just got this, and we're going to just show how it works. And let's go here, take our melee weapon template, just put it here. And by the way, we can say simulate physics on the mesh, and let's make sure that this mesh has setup that is necessary for it to work. So does it have simple collision? It does. It's terrible, but we're going to run with it, and we're going to add socket. Let's call it start stop, and let's move them. So start will go to the very tip, like all the way here, and the stop is going to be placed like here. Okay, that's the entire setup we need to do to the mesh. And now if we hit play, our entire setup that detecting stuff that we can pick up should pick up this weapon as well, and we should be able to interact with it. And it says item picked up, but it didn't. Wait. Are we? Oh yes, let's test it single player first. So let's pick it up, and we have it attached to our hand. What's going on here? Why did it fail? Static mesh is movable. It can simulate physics by default. This is a physics actor. Querent physics, everything is fine. Snap, snap, wield. Okay, this should work in theory. What? That's interesting. Let's go back here and let's say let's go to our tutorial, and we have this equip and equip. Not weapon. Okay, so this looks like it's being used. Let's see, so this is longsword, preview, idle, long. Yeah, this seems about right. Okay, let's maybe not simulate physics. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem really. Stupid ammo. Okay. What? That is super odd. Why is it doing that? Let's check in here. So we got our character, yeah, that's great. And where is our sword? Okay, it's here. Right. Choose word. Wow, that's interesting. Wait, let's play in this window. Let's pick it up. Let's do this. Let's eject. Let's see what's going on. It's this guy. Let's see its item. Inventory and owner is set properly. Wow. Okay, I need to debug this. Okay, it was so long ago that I set up this entire thing that I forgot how it worked, but it was actually simpler than I thought to set it up back in. So we got this actor, which is just a melee weapon template. And by the way, we also should make it replicated, I guess. So yeah, like the entire actor should be replicated, not load on client, and use owner relevancy. That helps for sure. So yeah, what we are doing, we have this interface that we already added, which is the weapon interface that was part of the tutorial. So we have this event try pickup item, and it's just saying that if our inventory is valid, then just pick up item. That's it. We pick up item, it makes it invisible. This invisible item is being attached to our player state. But on pickup item, what we want to do is actually get the owner of this inventory that's picking it up and get its equipment manager. And from this equipment manager, we want to equip item in slot. And honestly, again, we should do, this is just a very good practice, you should do it almost always, do a valid check just in case, especially on multiplayer, you don't want some random crashes in your program. And yeah, do it like this. So now we're trying to equip item in slot weapon. So it can be success or not. So we don't really care about any of those. For now, it was just debug strings. This is just debug strings. So we want to do equip. So on equip of an item, we don't need this. We want to see if our user is a character. If he is, then we are attaching self to this socket name, snap, snap, keep world and weld bodies. And then we see if this character, if this user, does he have animation master? We check if it's valid. Then we set up overlay pose and set up aim offset to be aim instead of look. And how I set up overlay, that's the simplest overlay I think I ever done. It's just an idle FPS animation and our base pose cache blended on spine 01 by the depth of 4. That's everything. I've set it up. So what we end up is with idle long, it's this one. So basically this pose on the spine up and legs are being still run by the standard animation. So if I hit play now, this is the entire setup. I haven't changed anything to the player character. If I hit play now, I can go to the weapon, I can click F, it gets attached to my hands, and I can now have it, but I can't swing with it, I can't do anything with it. It doesn't have an EB barrel component, so I can't add attachments to it, I can't do anything with it really. So what I want to do is I want to have melee swings and I want to be able to record those melee swings if they actually hit something or not. And that's going to be easy as well. It will be even more easy than the previous setup. Now we're going to our, we're going to see how do we trigger inside our character. So when we fire, we call this weapon trigger function, and weapon trigger functions is getting item in slot, see if it's even there, get component by class barrel, and shoot. Okay, pretty straightforward. So if it's not valid, this component, then it doesn't shoot. So we're going to do something here. So if it's not valid from this item, we want to say use item. Oh no, I want to get item component. I want to see if this is valid. So if it's not valid, then we're ending the execution anyway. But if it is valid, then we want to say use item, and this is being called on the server. We might actually need a function of trying use item on the interface. Do we have one? No, so let's do one. Let's do a try use, and it's just an event, and we go back into character and we just say we don't need to do any of this. Item try use message, and go back into execution. So if we have a barrel, we should. If we don't have a barrel, try use. So we go back into our weapon. So into, well, not here, not here. I can close all of those, and I can go into our melee weapon. So here we want to have a use, right? So what we want to do is say try use item. Okay, it's this one, so it's the interface try use, right? So here what we want to do is say custom event attack swing server, and this is going to be run on server reliably, and on try use we're going to do attack swing server. Okay, so when we are attacking on server, we want to do another event. I want to say multi attack, and this is going to just play montage, and in skeletal mesh we need to actually know who is calling this item. So we're going to go back into our interface, and no, not this one, into weapon interface, and with try use we need an input saying user, and it's an actor object reference. Okay, and here when we call it user, we just say self, and we are pushing self in the character, and in the weapon now we have this user, right? So this user is pushing itself as a reference here, so we need user actor reference. Okay, and this is going to do this. So this needs an input as oh, do we need all that really to think of it? Like, this is a liability. We don't really need that. What we need to do is just to get owner of this actor, which is owner. Okay, no, we want to get attach parent actor. So this actors, if we are attached to something, and this is a big if, so we're checking if it's valid, but if it is valid, then we want to say cast to character. Okay, and we are casting to a character, and if it is a character indeed, we want to get mesh. And we want to play a montage for this mesh. And now which one we want to play? We can do here a multigate, and we can then make two of those and say this is in a loop, and we're going to play one of two montages, one after another. So we need to prepare those attacks of montages, and we also need to make this, of course, multicast. So it's going to play on the server and on all clients as well. This way we're not pushing any references. The server decides who is the attached parent, if he is even valid. Okay, we got this. We already have this weapon prepared, so all we need now is animations. So let's go into FPP mail animations, long sword, and we need attack. Do we have like fast? No, left. Okay, we go to attack right, which is just this swing. Okay, how does attack left look like? Like this is stabby stab. Heavy attack. Okay, looks like this. Okay, let's make one of this, and let's make left one. Where's the left one? Here's the left one. Create anim montage. Awesome. Let's open those montages and let's just say, you know what? Slot will be upper body, and here as well. And now I have to close them because I really need the preview. So I need to reopen them again, save everything. Okay, so now that I have preview, I can say that he is taking a swing from here. So in notification, I can say notify state, AGR attack notify state. And it ends here. So it's just few frames of animation, and it's quite not much of time. And same goes here. So it goes here, let's say. Notify state, attack notify. And here it already ends and goes here. Okay, so we go to those attacks, and we can now say long, okay, left and long right montage. So it will just flip-flop between them, and we can add more attacks to the combo at any point, honestly. So yeah, and so this is already tracking attacks, so we should be able to execute those attacks. Okay. Yes, it does this. Okay, let's see. Okay, the problem is that when we are in single player, it is actually spawning twice. So what we need to do is say custom event execute swing. Do it like this. I'm going to say on server, or you know what? If user is local role, and this is no. User cast to character. From character we can say he's locally controlled. So if he is locally controlled, then we want to execute swing. So this is doing like a client prediction. It's executing swing immediately, and then it is saying server, please execute the swing as well. And if it is not locally controlled, it shouldn't even go through this execution, because this should be triggered only by the owner, honestly. So this should work like this, and then server gets this and he says, no worry, I will execute it on all clients. But what we want actually to do is do this again here and say, yeah, except this time I want to, okay, first we need to do this valid check. So if the parent is valid, I want to see if the parent is a character. And if he is a character, I want to see if he is locally controlled, and execute only if he's not locally controlled. So if the locally controlled executes, oh my god, what did I do? Get back here. Okay, just like this. This is the execute swing. Custom event, multi attack. Will it work? Yeah, it does. Okay, great. Multicast reliable. Oh, awesome. Okay, and we had to make a copy of this. Say if it is valid, cast to character. If it is not locally controlled, then execute swing. So we are executing swing only on remote when we call from server, including server, unless the server is the local controlled character. So now it will not execute those abilities twice, but I guess we still do. And if I do it as a client, oh, then I have an issue with, yeah, I forgot that content here, where we have this weapon, this skeletal mesh, is not component replicated, which is very important, to be honest. And the actor itself, replication state, has replicate movement and replication. So we need to go back to our weapon and say that this is replicated component no, but here we want to go into replication. I want to say replicate movement. Okay. Okay, now it works. Okay, but why does it execute twice still? Let's fix that. So I guess we can skip the execute swing and local control, and basically anything just goes straight here. Okay, and now we should not skip locally controlled, so just execute swing. Huh, interesting. Oh, okay, because it's on click and release. Click and release. Why? No idea. Let's go back into character. What did we set up that this weapon trigger? Oh, yeah. Yeah. No wonder. Only if trigger is true, only then we should do the swing. Okay, now it works. So let's make it again with the character prediction to see if it's working. So it's like this: locally controlled, true, execute attack, then swing on all, multi-attack, if it is true and we have a character not locally, then execute swing. Okay, now this should work on both single player and multiplayer. Oh yeah, that works. Great. So that was as a client of dedicated server. So let's see single player. Okay, I can swing with the sword now. That's great. So we got everything set up. We got client prediction of swings. So this is client side predicted swings. But we're not hitting anything and we're not tracing anything right now. We're just swinging animation. Nothing is really happening. So this is where into play comes the combat plugin. Okay, and this is on equip. Okay, so the combat plugin has some basic setup like the start and end sockets that you already see me set up in the component itself, trace precision and trace size. So I'm going to show you how to use those and what do they mean and how to register actually a collider. So let's say that on equip, what we want to do is get the user that is equipping. We want to get combat manager, want to do valid check, and if it is valid we want to register mesh, which is add trace mesh. It's this one. So you can see that this is happening locally. This can be called on both server and local client, but on equip is being called on the server itself only. So if we want to see traces, we need to be right now in single player. Otherwise the traces will happen, but they will happen only on the server side because server should have authority over them. If you want to use those traces to do some cool effects, blood, sparks or anything like that, you can just do on multiplayer, right? Then you can just register this trace both on the owner and on the server, or you can even make some multicast events that would update this when this weapon gets replicated, or when this character goes into relevancy. You can then from server propagate meshes into clients. So let's just test it, and let's test it with simple line trace, and we need to specify mesh that has those two sockets that we mentioned, and this is our longsword static mesh. So now if I hit play, let's go into full screen and I start swinging my sword. Nothing happens because I forgot to add notifications, I guess. Let me check. First of all, let's just move those to FPS inventory tutorial here, and I did identify them. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so we do have them, and we do have a combat manager. Okay. So let's add event, start attack and end attack, and let's do just a print string and say start attack and end attack. So we got this. Start end. Okay, so it is. Oh, okay. If in order to see them, we need to also specify debug true, right? So yeah, that helps a lot to visualize what we are doing. So we got the start end information, and now we can see traces going in the air, and those are horizontal traces. And we can see that they change color to green when they actually collide with something. So yeah, and they are traced from the tip to the bottom, so from the start to the end. So I got bigger chance of hitting something if I can hit only a single target from the top one. But you can see that there are not really that many traces being left by me, and there's like big gaps between them. So if I want to hit something that's a very small object, like this pillar, like I hit it now, but now, for example, I didn't hit it at all, right? So that wasn't very useful. So yeah, so this is the simple trace. It's very good for slow attacks. If I, for example, do slow-mo 0.2 and I do an attack, you can see there's like a lot more of those lines. It's a lot easier to get precise 1, 2, or even 3 hits on a pillar of this size. But if I, for example, go into slow-mo 3, I will have very bad time hitting anything, honestly, because I'm doing like 3 or maybe 5 line traces per swing. So let's change our configuration. Let's go into not simple line trace. Oh, there's also box trace and capsule trace from the simple types. So a box trace is, as you might probably expect, exactly the same as was, but it's doing traces with boxes, meaning that they are a lot bigger and it is a lot easier to register a hit with them. So the size of the box is, of course, measured by my, you can see how they draw, like in a fan. So it's a lot more precise, and the size of the boxes is being adjusted by one of the variables in the component itself. And it is a lot easier to hit something with this collision type. And even if I do slow-mo 3, oh, I am missing by a mile on this object. So this is not really helping much. But it is a lot better for big objects like clubs and stuff like that you don't use line traces. And by the way, you can use different traces for different objects, because this configuration is being done per mesh, per object, which means that if you have a very small object, you might want to use just a small sphere trace for it. But if you have a very big object, you might want to use a different configuration. So let me show you something really cool and complex, the complex line trace. And complex line trace takes a parameter from Combat Manager trace precision, not size. And this trace precision says that right now we have it set on 10. So if I go full screen, I pick up this, you can see that I am now drawing a fan of both vertical lines and horizontal lines. So this makes a very compelling full shape. You can see here, right? So this shape is a lot more precise in registering hits. I can register hits on really small objects and even multiple hits, like you can see, without any issues. And I can also register hits on something like this pillar very easily. And even if I do slow-mo 3, now, even though I have less points for my prediction, I'm still doing all the intersection in between that is making sure that I hit this pillar, doesn't matter how fast I swing. So I can just do this and I am still doing a very precise swinging. So yeah, let's for example show stat FPS. So we got 60 FPS. Let's do T max FPS 30, which is a tick rate of dedicated server. So on dedicated server, precision of our hit would be exactly this shape, which is still very good. We could still register very precise hits on small objects that we intersect with. Okay, so let's do again 60. And if we want more precision in the lines in between, we can crank up the precision. So let's say instead of precision 10, we want to do 100. That seems reasonable. Let's see. So now if we have 100 intersecting lines, if I swing, you can see this. And it would be very hard not to hit something with it. And I can do like a lot of swings, and the drop in the frame rate that you can see is not due to the plugin, but it's actually due to my draw calls that are being called by all those lines. So yeah, I can do it like this. I can do slow-mo 2, which is basically dropping our frame rate to 30. So this is how it would work on the dedicated server. Very precise collisions on multiple levels. And I can hit small objects with ease very precisely. But one of my favorite doesn't require a very big trace precision. I can lower it back to 10. And as long as I have pretty big trace size, if I set it now to complex box trace, I'm going to do the same as I did with lines, but with boxes, with the exclusion of having vertical ones, so there are only horizontal boxes. So now our shape looks like this. And you can see that those boxes are so tight in between of them that they make a complete volume, and anything that intersects this volume will get hit for sure. So I can of course make this precision a lot greater if I, for example, lower the size to 3 or even 2.5, but double the precision. So now I have more boxes that are smaller, so they are more fitting the shape of the blade, but they are more dense, meaning that they will still cover the entire space and hit with extreme precision on the objects. And my draws are killing the GPU right now, but as long as they disappear it will get better. Okay, so yeah, let's make it again. Let's leave it like this. So you've seen that the performance was really bad, but let's turn off debug. So we are no longer drawing anything, but we are still doing hundreds of boxes per swing, per frame. We're doing like a lot of tracing, and if you see me swinging, nothing happens. I am still having 60 FPS like I did. Even if I start hitting stuff, it doesn't really impact my performance at all, as long as I am not drawing debug information, because this is the stuff that is actually making it hard on it. So let's now do are we registering hits? Let's check out, right? so we can do those attacks. Let's see if we can do something about them. So how to register hits? Inside here, not the weapon itself, but inside the component where you have it, you can set event on attack hit registration. So we got hit and we got the mesh. By the mesh we can get owner, and this is the weapon that is actually dealing the damage and the instigator of it. So what we might want to do is do what we did with easy ballistics and just spawn some cool particles when we have a hit, right? So spawn actor class, and this is the qubit fx spawner. Okay. Let's break the hit event. We're going to need all information here. Let's push the hit. Let's say actor transform is the transform of this spawner, because it's still doing effects where it has hit, not where it is spawned per se. Okay, so this is just an actor that manages a lot of stuff and then disappears. None, that's fine. Particle decal spawner on. Yes. Fx size small, decal attached, no. Ricochet vector, no. And this will be this. Collision, okay. And this is definitely Terminator. So if that was a projectile, nothing goes through. Instigator itself. Vector is the impact normal. Impact speed is 0. Okay, I think this is good. This is enough. This should work. Yeah, everything is being taken from the hit event, really. So let's pick this up, and it's super loud. Oh my god. Can I like make volume smaller? Not here. Okay. Get sound. Oh no, it doesn't hold references. That's so annoying. Okay, let's just not overuse it because the sound is just terrible. So yeah, I got this. Let's hit something that is okay. So this is like doing default hits because I haven't set up any reaction table on it, and we would obviously not use projectiles hit reaction, but the angle of the hit, the spawn of decals and everything is being very precise, and it works as it should work. Okay. And interesting, it says that the wood. Okay, so this works. Let's now filter our hits, and we want to just do a single hit per actor, for example. Okay, so this is something we can do inside the character itself. We can make it like hit targets, which would be actors, and that would be actor object reference array. I would say this array on start attack, can you please clear it for me? And on that attack, maybe not. Maybe I want to do something with this array. Maybe I want to, I don't know, deal damage to them at the end of attack, or maybe I want to give them some notification, or I don't know, something. But on the start of attack, I want to hit targets to get completely cleared. And now I want to say if my hit targets contains item of this hit actor, right? So we already hit this actor. I want to do nothing. But if it's not, then I want to spawn this, and I want to add this actor to my array. Oh, no. Here and here. So now I should be able to hit only one character per swing. I mean, one object. Or even else. Every object once. And I can have multiple targets, but each of them gets only one hit. So one and one here. Okay, it worked. And this is like, I definitely were hitting those objects multiple times before. But now on my swings, I only hit once. Okay, and if I have multiple objects. Okay, yeah, so it seems to work. So, oh, I can still pick up those coins. Funny. So yeah, now we have working melee weapons that is working with equipment, because this is being equipped by the equipment system, and with inventory and HR item, and with combat manager. And we have really cool trace system that can do simple as well as complex traces based on our needs. And let's set it as this. And in general, that's a pretty compelling melee system that is very good on performance. And I hope you like it. If you have any questions or you find any bugs in any of the systems, please report them on Discord. For now, we're just focusing on improving on the components that we have here. And with this melee combat, I can now pump up a lot of really cool tutorials for you guys, where we combine shooting, inventory, crafting, melee, and other stuff. And I also want to say that I am not only working on those tutorial projects, I'm actually working on Unreal projects that might one day be actually a published game. So I don't want to spoil too much about where I am with it, but it's going quite well, and maybe soon I will have a small sneak peek of what we are doing. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.